No announcement yet. They're doing a good job, but not ready to make it yet. You know, they both practiced well here this last week. Both did really well in the scrimmage, and taking a snapshot kind of back and getting a chance through the weekend to look back at camp as a whole, seeing the amount of reps that they've gotten. I feel good about the fact that whoever does start is not going to be held out on any reps right now, but. The sense of urgency to name one will obviously grow as we get closer to the game, but don't feel like it's the right time right now. I feel like we've got enough reps to go around. Want to still continue to see both of them with equal reps here through the next few days. Then we'll reassess after that.
What were your thoughts on the scrimmage?
What's that?
What were your thoughts on the scrimmage?
It was a good scrimmage. It was a clean scrimmage. Both sides did some really, really good stuff. There's a lot of good ball out there. Not very many penalties. Offensively, the guys started out pretty quick, and then defensively we really responded, made probably the two biggest plays in the scrimmages. In the scrimmage, we caused 2 fumbles that we recovered, and so saw some real physicality defensively that kind of answered it. So it was back and forth, but very much improved from the first one, I would say, from both sides.
When you mentioned sense of urgency, what about the players themselves? Do you sense them having a sense of urgency of trying to get that job?
Definitely. I think. But I don't think that's anything new right now. I think they felt that sense of urgency since the second the last game ended, and so they're both playing well. They're both confident right now. You can see they've both probably put more into it over these last whatever it's been 6-8 months than they probably ever have. So as a result, they're playing better. They're confident. They're excited both about what they're doing, and they should be.
Can you learn something about how they deal with pressure when this is going on as long as it has, this battle? Can you learn how they deal with something like pressure?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I know a little bit about it with those guys already. Austin felt a lot of pressure when he had to come in here and be the number 2 guy a little bit unexpectedly as a true freshman. And then Kyler, definitely playing at A&M as a freshman. Obviously started a really important game for a championship team last year and did well with that. And so but I think this is a different kind of pressure, and they're doing a good job. They've really settled in here through camp, and it's definitely been one of the, throughout all the years looking back, definitely been one of the closest ones that I can remember. They're different in a lot of ways, but they're both doing so many good things that it's just tough to divide it up and say who's 1 and who's 2 right now.
How much of a concern is it to you that maybe one of them hasn't separated themselves at this point?
Well, if they're playing bad, it would be a concern, but they're playing good, so that's not much of a concern at all.
You indicated in 2015 that you named a starter on about this time because you wanted the team to know who your starting quarterback was going to be. How does that affect the fact with the team and continuity that the decision hasn't been made just yet?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it because it's an important position for this whole team. So it's something, when I sit back and look at it, when we look at it as coaches, we take that into account. It was a different time then, different, half the staff was new, the whole offensive system was new. It was just a different time. It felt like even if we maybe jumped the gun a little bit at that point that we needed to do it. And we had a little bit more clear separation, I would say, at that point than maybe what we've had right now. But I don't think this team, is much of a factor as far as I don't think they really care. They've seen both these guys play. Both these guys have been around here for multiple years. I think the team respects both of them and is ready to battle with whoever's under center.
You've got experienced players returning at skill positions that have made a lot of plays. Does that allow you to carry this out a little bit further than you would have?
That's fair to say. I think both quarterbacks have good relationships on the field with our skill guys. We've got some experience at receivers, some experience at running backs, some experience up front. So I do think that's maybe a little bit of a factor in the comfort level of letting it go on a little bit longer.
Is there a factor that you would say is going on in your decision making right now that's making you hold? I mean, you said that you got a lot of reps to get to. That means you still have decisions to make.
Yeah. No, I think we'll continue to have decisions to make. That at Oklahoma, the competition never ends. We'll name a starter here at some point in the near future, but that never ends. That starter's got to play well, and we all the time. We had a big presentation with the team the other day about guys that maybe start the season as a backup or a third-team guy or even a scout team guy, and then by the end of the year are a big-time player. I mean, look at Jordan Parker 2 years ago. First 3 weeks he's on the scout team. A couple weeks later he's starting. Chance Sylvie a few years ago. He's on scout team, and all of a sudden he's in the middle of the Red River game making plays there. We've had a lot of them throughout the years. Trey Norwood last year, Rodney Anderson last year. I mean, Marquise Brown didn't play snap against Ohio State last year in the second game. Nobody was talking about him, and then you see what he did the second half of the year. So it's going to go up and down. That's part of it. But, no, I think the play's good enough from both, that I want to keep looking at them. And in this week is a little different because you start to transition more towards opponent prep. Not going against your first team defense the whole time. You start to talk about, all of that. And so I get to see them in a little bit different light here for the next few days, which I feel like is going to be valuable.
You mentioned that changeover defensively for you guys now. What has to be the focus on that side of the ball moving forward from this point?
Yeah, I mean, they get to see a lot of good things from our offense. Our guys do, and so that's helpful. But we're going to be challenged in different ways by different people. Here both early and throughout the season. So I think it's learning to practice against the scout team. It's learning to practice against other looks from other teams that we're getting ready to play. And then at this point, you've started the narrowing down process of, not repping so many guys, starting to narrow in on who you think's going to have the best chance to play for you early. So it creates more reps and more opportunities for those guys.
In the scrimmage, did you see more playmakers? You mentioned you got the couple of fumbles and things like that. Did you see? Could you talk about some of the playmakers in that group?
Defensively. Yeah, continue to be happy with our young safeties. I think they keep showing up on tape. Had a couple of them that were out for minor things, but, Delarin continues to impress. I think Khalil Houghton's really had a strong camp. I've been really, really proud of the way, he's played like you would expect a senior to play. We have very few of them on that side, so we need those guys to play good. Curtis Bolton continues to play well. A couple guys up front, Isaiah Thomas, I thought has really stepped up and done some nice things. And our front has really been steady. Kenny Mann had a tremendous scrimmage. We had a difficult time blocking him. So yeah, there's some notable standouts, but the depth's better, especially up front. The competition all the way around is better. I like the mindset of that group right now.
I'm sorry if I missed this. Did you say who forced the 2 fumbles in the scrimmage? You remember?
Let me think back here just a second. Jordan Parker forced one. The other one was kind of a group effort. It was tough to pick out one guy who did it, but Jordan Parker forced one, and Jordan Kelly actually returned it for a touchdown. Jordan Parker got a big block after forcing the fumble to spring the touchdown return. So that was actually the last play of the scrimmage, so it was a huge play for the defense.
You mentioned game prep. Is it a little different prepping for a game when you don't have fresh film on a team like Florida Atlantic?
Yeah, it can be different. It's good and bad. The good is, they hadn't been sitting there practicing the same things for, forever. But the tough thing is you got to sit there and decipher on, what you think they're going to do. But whether it's a new coordinator, same coordinator, people are always going to adapt, new personnel. They're going to have new schemes throughout the year. So the first game, there's always a little bit of guessing going in. Neither side's going to know exactly what they're going to do. So you got to be able to make adjustments and you got to have your kids prepared.
After Marquise and CD, who are some of the other receivers who've been stepping up so far?
80 Miller. 80's had a tremendous fall. Playing the best ball of his life right now. I'm just really been pleased with him. It really looks at the redshirt year, at least up to this point, that the redshirt year did what we hoped it would do. He's stronger. He's more mentally tough. He's just grown up, man. He doesn't feel like a puppy anymore. And so he's done well. Drake Stoops has really done a nice job. Miles Tees has had a tremendous camp. Grant Calcaterra, Lee Morris, some of those guys have really stepped up and played well.
Do you see Drake Stoops having a role this season as a true freshman?
He's got a chance. We've got some experienced guys in there, with Miles and, having Basquin back, Michael Jones, Calcaterra, Morris. I mean, we've got some experienced guys, but he's a playmaker. He is. He's tough. He's a playmaker, so he's got as good a shot as any.
What are you thinking about in your return game on special teams?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We're doing some things that we really like. I think we've got a few more body types through some of the depth in recruiting that I think are going to make a difference there. And everybody always wants to pay attention to returners. They're like, well, if you got a good return game, you got good returners. That's it's like nobody talking about a great offensive line when a back goes this far. I mean, the whole key is how you block the thing. And then, a good returner is going to get you 40 or 50. A big returner, a great returner may take it to the house. But, where our focus has been on the other 10 guys in both return games. And so we feel like we've made some strides, like the depth, like the competitiveness. I've got some, return-wise, we kind of know, like I said, punt returns between CD, Marquise, Rodney, all those guys do a pretty darn good job. Kickoff return, we've got a little bit bigger committee we're looking at right now.
Everybody assumes Grant Cup will tear a step in for Mark Andrews. What kind of summer and what kind of fall camp do you have?
He's done a great job. He has. There's great competition right there between him and Lee Morris. So it's Lee has had a tremendous camp, and obviously Lee made some critical plays for us in big games last year too. And so that's been a good competition. I would imagine both those guys are going to play, and have a chance to play quite a bit. And but Grant's growing. He's getting better. Physically he's better, mentally he's better, and so, but to take that next step from being a guy that just made a few plays and a role guy last year to having a chance to be a full-time guy is a big step, and so he's going to have to continue to show some of the growth that he has.
Lincoln, you mentioned Drake and Miles Tees, and I don't know if you saw today, Minnesota's going to start a freshman walk-on at quarterback. Do you feel like Baker in any way changed what it means to be a walk-on or gave those guys more confidence? I mean, I know there have been guys like that before, but not like that.
Maybe locally here, possibly. Yeah, possibly. I mean, both those guys, I think, came in believing in themselves. I think they both came into the program, and it's why both of those guys came here, a part of it, that they knew we were going to be open to it. It doesn't matter who you are here. Like, if you're the best player, you're going to play. You're going to earn scholarships. You're going to do all those things, and so we've had a long history of that. Baker was a great example. But I think these guys are all kind of like Baker was coming in, all pretty internally motivated. They believe in themselves, and they work their tails off.
Looked like your back-to-school pick, throwback today, was a big hit. What kind of reactions you get?
Yeah, we had a little fun. Annie Hanson sent my wife a text about there was a back-to-school picture, so I had about 10 that I vetoed before we. Yeah, I was not very cool back then, so that was the coolest of the uncool ones that I had.
Can you confirm if that was a Bugle Boy shirt?
You know what? I will not confirm or deny.
How's the center battle going at this point?
A lot like the quarterback battle. It's man, those guys are playing well. They're grading out very similar. I think it's going to be a deal where we can go in the season and play both and feel like we can be good enough to win and play at the level we want to play up front. Where's it going to go in the end? We're going to play it out. I don't feel like we're close to announcing one there. I feel like we're going to play it out, let those guys rep a bunch. Center's a position. You got to take a bunch of reps, but you're not also going to sit there and give an offensive lineman 100 reps during a practice. So they would both rep anyway, even if we had already named one the starter. So we feel like we can get them both ready right now.
Do that at quarterback as well, where one guy goes in first couple of series, maybe he's a little wide-eyed, you want to see what the other guy can do, so you're going to run it, and then it changes from game to game. Maybe one starts this game, the next one starts that game.
Not ideally. I don't think we're going to have that problem. I don't think they'll be wide-eyed, but I mean, you never know. It's why you have backups.
Where have you seen the most growth in Marquise Brown since the end of last season?
Yeah, just more consistent. He's a better every down player. He understands what we're doing. He knows how to play in control. It's like he's almost like a quarterback that's got a big arm and doesn't know when to use it and when not to. That's kind of how he was when he got here. His speed is such a weapon, but half the time it was awesome, and half the time it was out of control, and you're like, what are you doing? And now it's much more polished, so much more refined. He knows when to use it. He's going from, like I said, being a fast guy to really starting to become a good football player.
After the Maryland story broke, did that give you guys pause to talk about how you handle those things, either player workouts or just how you treat players in general?
No question. It's definitely a different age in that, and I don't have any immediate concerns about how we treat players here. That's always been a focus point. It was for Bob. It was, and it still is here for us. That there's a line. You got to coach guys hard, but there's a line of respect. There's a line of, I think, when you personalize any attack on a player or any language with a player, that's when it crosses the line. And that's not going to happen here. And so, felt comfortable about that side of it. Of course, the working out with these guys, monitoring them as they're in the heat or in the summer, and finding the line between pushing them but also being smart is a big deal. I think we're lucky that Scott Anderson and his crew are so good on that aspect, and they really, with Coach Wiley, have really worked well together. There's been a lot of a lot of good harmony there. So, yeah, I think it always makes you go back and look and just double check and make sure everything's in order because it's such a big deal. But it makes you appreciate being at a place like Oklahoma.
Coach, you said you started transitioning to preparing for opponents. Do you feel like that's a little harder considering the decisions you still have to make at quarterback and at center and at other positions?
Not really. I think we've got enough reps to go around that, that we can still continue to develop these guys and also start to get in the prep work that we need. And so, no, I feel like we can do it.
With all the receivers that you mentioned, do you feel like you guys might not need the same amount of production from the backfield in the receiving game you guys have had in recent years?
Oh, I don't know. We're gonna need production from everybody. You never know how people are gonna play you, so you got to be ready to attack it. And if that's something that people give us, then we better be good at it. If not, it'll hurt us.
We've seen since you've been here that number 3 back can be a really crucial role for you. How is that kind of battle shaped up with those guys behind Trey and Rodney?
Yeah, Marcellus Sutton has had a great camp. He's I think asserted himself as that number 3 guy. I feel pretty comfortable saying that right now. We're still a little bit trying to figure out who number 4 is, between Kennedy Brooks and TJ Pledger. 2 young guys that are really getting after it and they're getting better fast. They got a lot of reps throughout camp. So we've got some quality depth, there's no doubt. So I think that may be a back and forth, certainly at that position, and try to decide who that 4th guy going in. But, we feel like you can go in with 5 guys right now and win, and the experience at the top and the overall depth's better than what we've done.
Do you think that's where Sutton makes his name in the receiving game?
Oh, you know me. I'm not saying anything about that. Any of our backs, they got to be able to do it all. If a guy's only good at this or that, they're not going to be able to play for us. But all our guys got to be able to catch, and all of our guys are receiving threats for sure.
Lincoln, people are obviously aware of Kyler's gifts and athletic ability. We saw glimpses last year, and I'm wondering at this point, given the closeness of the competition and the fact you're still trying to decide if fans or the public should use that as a gauge to how good a quarterback Austin is. I'm not saying he's been taken for granted, but you know what I mean. I think a lot of the attention was on the other guy when this whole thing started.
Yeah, I mean, Austin's a heck of a player. There's a reason why we recruited him as hard as we did. Why he handled the backup job so well as a true freshman. The reason why we wanted to redshirt him last year. Is we knew he had a future here. There's no doubt about it, and was going to be a factor regardless of who else was here. And so, look, they're both really good players. We're in a great situation. There's been a lot of times in my career we didn't have anybody close to either one of those 2. And so, they're both really good players. If they weren't, then this competition would have been over a long time ago. But it's very real. They're both doing a great job. They've made, they'll make the decision tough, which is good. That's deep down, that's what you want, and I've been proud of the way that they've handled the whole situation so far.
Lincoln, we gotta go.